What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video and welcome back to some Lions news. We did some Lions news as well yesterday. You guys saw a mock draft this morning. You may see another one tonight on a different platform. Yes, I got an email about it, so I checked it out. It's kind of cool, kind of weird. The draft didn't go as planned, but it was kind of fun. So you may see that tonight, you may not. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still deciding if I want to upload that. But right now we are going to be doing some Lions news. There's not tons of news going around before the draft starts because everything's all quiet. But hey, we still got some things to talk about, and I'm going to give that to you. So let's get it started. Everybody's now in. Everybody's taking their seat. We're going to talk about some Lions news. Now, there's two main things that we're going to be talking about in today's video. One thing we've kind of touched on before, at least part of it. And then the other thing we're going to be talking about is players the Detroit Lions have had virtual visits or kind of like interviews with over this whole, everything that's going on. So those are kind of interesting to me just by the players that they interviewed. So I will talk about that in a second. But we're going to start off with this other thing first, and that is with the New England Patriots. Now, we talked about potentially trading back with New England, acquiring Joe Thuney, and getting the 23rd pick. I think it was kind of a mixed result. Some people thought that was cool. Some people didn't like it. It really is just because of the money that it's a big factor. But it's also because if you trade back to 23, you're going to be losing out on Isaiah Simmons, Jeffrey Okudah, Derek Brown, possibly Chase Young, but I think you'd wait till 30 to see if he's available. But we do know that the Patriots and Lions obviously have done a lot of things, a lot of trades, a lot of signings together. So I could definitely see something like this, at least discussing it. 3 possible trade scenarios that they could offer the Detroit Lions. And one of them I kind of like, the other 2 not so much. But again, you have to keep in mind here, they only have the 23rd pick of the draft. So if you accept any of these, you're missing out on one of the top talented players. Now, you may not get Chase Young anyways, but if you want Isaiah Simmons, you're going to miss him. If you want Jeffrey Okudah, you're going to miss him. If you want Derek Brown, you're going to miss him. You're probably going to miss Javon Kinlaw unless you trade back up, which you may be able to with the picks you acquire. So let's talk about it. The first one, probably my favorite one, because it's not taking on a big contract. However, you're getting tons of picks. Just hear this. The Patriots don't have tons of draft capital this season, so they either got to throw in a player or future picks. And that's what they do in this first scenario. The Lions give up the number 3 pick to the New England Patriots, so they go to number 3, and boom, they're going to get their franchise quarterback or the future quarterback, whether that's Herbert, whether that's Tua, I'm not exactly sure. And what do the Lions get in return? Well, here's what they get. The Patriots don't have a second-round pick, so they're going to give the Lions their 23rd, right, which is their first-round pick. They're 87th, they're 98th, 100, and 204. So you're getting, what is that, 5 picks for one. Now, obviously, 204 is like kind of late in the draft. That's like near the 7th round. I think that might actually be in the 7th round. 198 are mid-round picks. 87 is kind of a mid-round to the 3rd and 4th round. You're going there. And the Lions have been pretty good in the 3rd round. And then you're getting 23 because they don't have that 2nd round pick. But if that's just it, I'm not liking that because that's just not enough to move that far. However, they're also going to give you their 2021 1st round pick, their 2021 2nd round pick, and their 2021 3rd round pick. That is tons of picks. And according to, the whole Jimmy Johnson thing that we looked at, which is like the scale, that would be more than enough to make this thing happen. However, as we know, when you're trading up that high to get a quarterback, you're giving up a ton. So the Detroit Lions would get a complete overhaul of picks here. The only problem is 2021 picks don't help this season unless you put them back into this season. And how do you do that? Well, you could use them to trade back into the draft. Maybe you trade up. Maybe you trade up for Javon Kinlaw from 23 with someone because you offer them future picks. Maybe you just trade up future picks to just get a pick in this year's drafts. Okay, because a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd round pick are very good next season. A 1st round pick next season at very high value. I think that's pretty high value if you ask me, especially for teams that maybe, aren't in the kind of win now mandate that the Lions may be. I definitely think that's my favorite one out of the 3 because you're getting tons of picks. Again, you're missing out on one of the top players, but at the same time, you could be filling out a lot of holes. Now, I don't know if we have that many holes. Maybe it makes more sense not to do that, to maybe even not go necessarily the way we did yesterday or this morning with the mock draft where we took all those 1st round picks, but maybe not necessarily trading back and losing too much talent because I think our 3 main needs are cornerback, getting pressure, and adding a offensive lineman. And those could be done a little bit earlier. So maybe if you don't want to move back, you don't want to miss out on that, you don't have to. But again, 3rd round has been a gold mine for us, so maybe this is an offer. I don't know. It's my favorite one, though, because here's the next 2. The next one is Joe Thuney at number 23. Now, we've talked about this one. That's not great. I'd probably ask for another pick, maybe one of those mid-round picks, maybe like 98 or something, just to give us something. 23, obviously, it is what it is. However, we do fill out our biggest need. It's really the contract, and I know, the contract is very concerning because he's on that franchise tag. It's a pretty big contract. You're going to have to sign him again. He is young, though, and he's proven. I know there is a thought that, hey, you just trade back from 3, you can just add a guard or an offensive lineman. The problem is they're not proven. You don't know what you're going to get. You would assume, though, that a first-round pick is going to give you something, right? That's kind of the whole reason that it's still valued so high. I mean, the Patriots are trading up because they assume that their guy in Tua or Herbert could be that future quarterback, right? They assume that's going to work out being so high in the draft. So you would think that if you took an offensive lineman in the first round, they would be starter material, but that's not a guarantee in the NFL because we've seen a lot of offensive linemen, even offensive linemen that we've drafted, that haven't turned out to be starters, and we've just seen it a lot. I mean, you think about it. With all of these top tackles, bound to have at least one of these guys not work out, right? It's probably going to happen. I mean, we've drafted guys in the first round. We traded back. We've taken offensive linemen in the first round. Who was the first one that I can remember? There was one that we took in the first round. I don't know. I think he's still a starter somewhere else, but he's not with the Detroit Lions anymore. There's definitely been a lot of missed first-round offensive linemen. It happens all the time. Actually, we have a former offensive lineman that was a first-round pick on our team now, and Joshua Garnett, because he was really bad with the 49ers. So, I don't know. I mean, there's always that risk. Thuney is proven, but again, it takes money. And then the third one is Stephon Gilmore. He's 7 and 98 for the third pick. I think it's 98. So, again, you're getting 2 mid-round picks, which is nice. You're getting Stephon Gilmore, which means you don't have to go after Okudah, but you're not getting 23. You're not getting 23, right? So that's a little bit concerning because you don't have a first-round pick. Now you're waiting until the second round, where, again, it's not a huge difference. But in the second round, now you're talking about, edge rushers, where I think that's kind of where they're at, right? Cornerback, you kind of don't have to worry about it anymore. You just give him the extension, and then, you can go edge rusher and offensive lineman. These both, I think they could both work. Gilmore was the best cornerback in the league, and I understand he's only on that 2-year deal. But, again, I think, you're getting the best cornerback in the league, and honestly, if you have to win right now, I think they both make sense. Again, it's just the money. I think my favorite one, though, is the first one because I think that's just a crazy nice return. But I don't know. Would you take any of those? I'm not sure. I mean, it's hard because you really have to just make a decision. Are we willing to move down that far or not? So that's just kind of up to you guys. But instead, here's the real news for today. Here's what we're really coming to talk about. We're talking about players that the Detroit Lions have had virtual visits with recently. And these are very, very interesting. And, most of these players kind of made me happy because I was like, wow, I like a lot of these players on here. So let's do it. So let's start off. Chase Young. Obviously, I think he's the best player in the draft. Just ahead of Isaiah Simmons by about this much. Like, hello? That much, right? I don't think it's very much, but Isaiah Simmons is a beast, but Chase Young is more of a beast. I don't know how to say that. We need pressure. Chase Young gives you that. I think actually Simmons could give you that too. I'm going to go with Young, though, as the best player in this draft by a little bit. Either way, Chase Young would be great with the Detroit Lions, and like I said before, no team past number 3 has had a virtual or an interview with a guy like Chase Young because they don't believe he's going to fall that far. So if he did fall to 3, Detroit Lions have already talked to him, and they may be interested in bringing him in. I'm pretty sure they would be. Tua, we talked about that yesterday, right? Is that a smoke screen? Is that just because you do it to do it, just because he could be there? Why do you do it if you don't want him? What does that mean? I think it's maybe setting up potential trade. Some people think they may actually be interested in Tua. I'm not exactly sure, but we talked about that yesterday, so if you want to know more about that, check out yesterday's news video. Next up, Cameron Dantzler. Now, this one made me excited. Like, Cameron Dantzler, I see you, Lions. Look, not the fastest corner, not as slow as Tease, but not the fastest, not at all. However, he's a sticky man-to-man corner. He went to Mississippi State. I think he reminds me of the next like real skinny, kind of tall for his weight, but I would say like he looks kind of like a stick cornerback, but at the same time, I feel like this dude would be really good at man-to-man. He could fit in our defense pretty well. And again, I think he could be the next Slay. I mean, not like the whole problems that we had, but talent-wise, I'm not going to say he is Darius Slay, but I see some similarities there. Again, same college as well, so hey, I like Cameron Dantzler. I feel like this would be a really good third-round pick for us. If we don't want to go Okudah, I think this would make sense as well. I don't think we have to go Okudah, so I've definitely been looking at Dantzler a lot. So I'm glad they had the interview with him. Doesn't mean they're going to take him. I'm just glad they actually reached out to him. Michael Onwenu. Now, Michael Onwenu, if you don't remember, is the guard from Michigan. I think he was in my top 5 guards, but I'm not sure. I know I've talked about Michael a lot, though. I think he was in my top 5 guards, if I can remember correctly. And Michael Onwenu isn't even like the most known guard. Not a lot of people know who Michael is, offensive lineman for Michigan. I think all of that is taken away by Cesar Ruiz and Ben Bredesen, right? Those two guys are the ones that get the attention. But you can't forget about Michael, who is, I think, rated out better than both of them. John Runyon's a tackle that's going into draft. But I think Michael, other than Cesar Ruiz, could be the best offensive lineman from Michigan this year. I think I did have him in my top 5 offensive linemen for the Lions to draft, so that's pretty cool as well. Joe Bacci, another guy from Michigan State, a linebacker. Again, if the Lions wanted to just add more to the linebacker group, maybe add some more competition, someone's going to get cut if we had another linebacker. Okay, not everybody's going to make the team. Someone's got to go. We'll see who that is, but Joe would definitely add some competition there from Michigan State. Darrington, I think it's Darrington. I'm not sure how to say his name. Evans. This is the running back from Appalachian State. He's more of an elusive back, kind of a guy that could receive out of the backfield. He's known as the most dynamic running back, I guess. So yeah, kind of maybe like a little bit of a J.D. McKissick type of a running back here. I know that Matthew Stafford does well with those types of running backs. So those are the players that Lions have had virtual visits with, and I thought I would just point that out of those players and go through them. Again, a lot of them we talk about here, so I thought that was pretty awesome. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the news today. I don't think we have anything else. So let me know your thoughts, comments below. Do you accept any of those trades? I don't know. I don't know if I would or not. Maybe not. maybe I would. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see on draft day if the Lions do it. It would not shock me, though, because it is the Patriots. So let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.